Hey, welcome to the show. Um, so a crazy thing happened yesterday, which is I recorded like a 90-minute show, and obviously I do this live. I did a 90-minute show, and then at the very, very end, I realized my mic wasn't recording, and I was like, damn, because I went into some deep dives on that show. But nonetheless, let's see if you can do it properly today. Uh, to be honest, it works in my favor. We've had a new episode of Miss Marvel and Kenobi drop, so yeah, I get to talk about it while it's fresh instead of thinking about it in like a week later or so. So yeah, let's dive on in. So we're gonna start about Miss Marvel first. So one thing that I really appreciate about it so far is like it's Muslim without being Islamic. I think that's a very important point. Like, um, for those of you like who don't know or aren't a part of the culture and stuff, like there's a difference between something being Muslim and something being Islamic. For example, like Muhammad Salah, the footballer, or Muhammad Ali, the boxer, like they're both Muslim. They're just not. They just don't use their medium for Islamic preaching, if that makes sense. Like they happen to be athletes that just happen to be Muslim. They're not Muslim. They're not Islamic celebrities. They're not like preachers in a sense. And I think that's really important for Miss Marvel as a show in general, which is like this is for many people. I know like it's in 2020 and 2022, but like this for a lot of people is their first experience of being inside the life of a Muslim person, being into like a Muslim person behind the scenes in a sense, and for them to see things from our perspective, and it's important, it's powerful. Like, I don't want to say it's like Black Panther for South Asian people, but like it kind of is. And I think as the show will go on, we'll actually notice that a lot more. um like I know they're like Pakistani Americans, and that's quite different to British Pakistanis, but like there's a lot of transferable um memories there. Is the best way I can put it. Like, when she's like asking her parents permission to go to Avengers Con, I just had like a flashback to my teens asking my parents, like, oh, I was like 16, I wanted to go to New York on a school trip. And that was towards the end of the Bush era. I think Bush was still in charge then. And they were like, son, the political climate there isn't right. Like, they didn't want me to, be harassed or attacked in the street because obviously, essentially, especially in New York, where obviously certain things happened. Um, so yeah, like from that perspective, I was like, I really related to it. And then like uh the dad as well. Like I love how enthusiastic he was as a Hulk. Like I can imagine him sitting there getting himself painted green, thinking, she's gonna love this and XYZ, and thinking about all the bonding and fun times they have. And then you know, like one thing I appreciate about this is compared to something like Hawkeye. Like Hawkeye is kind of like a daddy daughter show. This is a different kind of a father daughter show. Um, yeah, like you know, South Asian culture is a thing, isn't it? I think a lot of people with like migrant parents can relate to this show overall, which I think is what makes it so much more special. Which is like your parents have one set of hopes and dreams, but theirs is coming from a standard based on where they're from, and our hopes and dreams are based on where we currently are, and the struggles and in and around that, and trying to find a way through. Super interesting. But like even the past two episodes now, like there's a lot there. There's a lot there. Like for example, like when she met that guy, I think it was Kamran or Kamran. Yeah, I think Kamran. And she's like, obviously, she's enamored with him, and they're like talking about Bollywood movies, and like Sweet Bruno, sure, like he can chime in, but he's out of his depth here, and that's something that's very special to me personally because like you can relate to people on a certain level, but there's a whole other layer when you're from the same culture. Um, like, okay, this is a bit, I won't say strange, but it's just different, which is like you meet someone who likes the same mid 2000s music as you, and you just bond immediately over that. And like, you never knew that. Okay, here's a better example. When you're abroad, and you see another person, and you as a Man United supporter see another person in a Liverpool shirt, like if you were in England, you'd be sworn enemies. But because you're both in abroad and you see someone that you have a common understanding with, all of a sudden you're best of friends. Doesn't matter, the club rivalries that you normally hold. It's that while you're there, you're somewhat together. Even like your differences don't matter so much because your commonalities are just so powerful. Um, so yeah, like I'm kind of glad also that this is a TV show and not a movie. That the fact that we get to spend so many hours, or even to be honest, in like the better part of 6 weeks with this character and absorbing the world that they live in. Like the second episode was so good. All the stuff about them going to the mosque and how like the lady section's like falling apart and the guy section's always pristine and clean and nice. Like I like how it's been addressed on a larger scale because unfortunately, it doesn't matter how loud you shout to resolve a situation in certain cultures. It's when it becomes public is when it gets resolved. Um, so yeah, like it's interesting, it's good, it's fun. Like if it was a movie, like I don't know if it's enough to bring like Black Panther level of crowd to the cinema, but on the flip side, like being a Disney Plus exclusive, it's not getting the limelight that it deserves. I do hope this actually gets televised on broadcast, even if it's like on like Sky or something. Um, that would be somewhat enough, but ideally, like BBC or ITV to just pick this up on a Channel 4 to pick this up on a quick run for a couple of weeks, just so it gets into every single person's house. Um, it'll be quite good. Um, but yeah, going back to the show itself, which is um, the fact that so far Kamal Khan is an Inhuman. It's like a bit odd, like it's kind of important to the character. Like it's as important to her a it being Inhuman is important to her character as it is that she's Muslim and Pakistani and from New Jersey. Like they all go hand in hand, and the thing is, like the rumor is that her bracelet has a Terrigen in it, and like even in the second episode, they were like saying, "Oh, there looks like the power's coming from within you and not the bracelet." I'm like, I really hope, like in the last episode, like the bracelet cracks open and Terrigen Mist comes out and she transforms, goes through Terrigenesis. Like that would be pretty cool. But yeah, we'll see how it goes. I think the next episode we're gonna get the partition storyline. I know in the trailer they showed like a bit of a clip of the Pakistan India partition. Even actually during episode 2 when they're talking about the partition, like even I got like flashbacks and memories of my elders sitting me down, explaining to me like the struggles that they went through. And I think this is the first time I've actually seen it on in like Western media in a respectful. Not I wouldn't go as far as respectful manner, but like in Western media, in a form where it's not an essential part to the actual storyline. If that makes sense. Like obviously, there's movies that involve the partition of India and Pakistan, but that was obviously a major part of the movie. This is like part of the backstory, but not part of the show. If that makes sense. But we'll see. Like nonetheless, like I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I don't want it to end. So we'll see how it goes. Like in the Marvels movie, here's actually another thing related to the Inhuman stuff, which is for those of you who are unfamiliar, the Kree, the bad guys from Guardians of the Galaxy 1, and Yondu and stuff like that. They are actually Kree, and they're the enemies of the Skrulls. You know, the green guys that shapeshift in Captain Marvel. Now, Agents of Shield does a way better job of explaining this than could. So I highly recommend, if you've not seen Agents of Shield, you go and you watch all of it. Seasons 3 and 4 are probably the best of any show I've ever seen. But nonetheless, like the Kree, they came to Earth when the humans were still in like a primitive form, pre-civilization, and what they did is they experimented on the humans, and there is a part of our DNA that has like a gap in it to be filled out. Now, this relates somewhat to the X-Men as well, which is that that gene, the X gene itself, develops over time. With Inhumans, is that gene is empty, and when they go through Terrigenesis, then they get their inhuman powers. Now, the Kree, what they were doing was they were using humans to make super soldiers, and with that is they had like a sort of a general as well, like a leader of the super soldier army. Now, that exact Inhuman turned around and rebelled against the Kree, and they managed to get either kick the Kree off Earth, or he got banished to another planet. Ultimately, that general got banished to another planet, whether it was from the Inhumans themselves or the Kree. But yeah, like there's an Inhumans TV show as well, by the way, which is it's not bad, but it's not necessarily good. But I wouldn't. It's like a CW show. I'd say it's like a CW show, but the fact that it's like maybe 8 or 12 episodes, you can just knock through it in a day or over a weekend. So definitely give that a watch as well. But yeah, like going back to the Inhuman stuff. Now, the Marvel's TV show, it'd be quite interesting if it was all about the Skrull and the Kree and the Inhumans. Now, like I mentioned, the Inhumans, when they there is two factions of the Inhumans as well. One that resides on Earth, and a lot of people don't know they have inhuman abilities until they go to Terrigenesis. Or two is the Inhumans that live on the moon. So I think it was in Eternals where they said, "Oh, where's Steve Rogers?" And he's on the moon. That rumor is like, oh, a nod to that he's with the Inhumans on the moon. And the Inhumans are basically like a royal family of Inhumans, and the Black Bolt from Doctor Strange, played by Anson Mount from the same Inhumans TV show. He's like the leader and stuff, and the shorthand way is saying it's the Marvel's answer to Game of Thrones. I don't think that's completely accurate, but I can understand where they're coming from. So it'd be interesting to see if that Marvel's movie is about the Kree Skrull war and how the Inhumans come into play on it as a faction, because it is some kind of space age movie. Proton, I think her name was Maria Rambeau's daughter from WandaVision. I think she was recruited by Nick Fury and sent into space. So we'll see what's going on with her as well. But yeah, going going back to the show itself, it's not flawless as a show. Like, um, for example, things like her sneaking out of house and not getting like any kind of like punishment for it. Like, not punishment in a mean way, but like punishment in the sense that, like, you know, I know plenty of South Asian parents that would like guilt trip their kids to turn and say, you betrayed our trust on X, Y, Z, and the one from my youth was that, if you step out of line, we'll send you back to Pakistan. That was a good one, um, because, like, a certain generation, the immigrant generation, they came here for a better life, and if you can't respect the privilege that you're in, because, for example, in like the 90s, even throughout the 2000s, Pakistan, they have this thing called load shedding, which is where the electricity will run for 2 hours, then go off for 2 hours, or even in the summer, I think it goes on for 3 hours and goes off for 3 hours at a time. And like, yeah, like, it can be frustrating. I found it frustrating because, I was a computer person. I used to spend all my time plugged into a wall socket at some point, doing something or another, whether it's Game Boy or Game Boy Advance or whatever. And uh, so yeah, like, the the idea that, she kind of got off with um a small telling off, but not like something that results in like a betrayal of trust, because it is a betrayal of trust. Like, as a parent, if your kid just like snuck out their window and, like, come on, that's quite off. And unfortunately, like, it is a scripted show. In real life, like, all sorts could happen. You know what I mean? So that's my response, coming as a from a perspective of a parent, not necessarily not necessarily in like a doom and gloom sort of way, but nonetheless, like, I think that was, I wouldn't say mishandled, but I don't think it was done right. Now, the other thing is, we're only really on like the first 3 episodes, and there's a lot of places for us to go. Um, I do hope that we can get a few more Inhuman type tie-ins, a little bit more world building. Like, I love how authentically Pakistani it feels, but on the flip side, it still feels a little bit disconnected from the greater MCU. Whether that needs a physical cameo or not. Now, the rumor is that the new Hawkeye, Kate Bishop, she might be in this. Maybe might be. Now, I don't know how that's gonna play out. How I feel about that. We'll see how it goes. I mean, like, I don't want it to be like a white savior kind of thing. But on the flip side, like, I'm all here for girl power. I do think that um we're strongly lacking a powerful role models for teens right now, in the MCU especially, because, like, outside of maybe what Spider-Man, who does like Gen Z really have? The kids from WandaVision, they're adorable, they're delightful, but they're still like kid level. They need their own like grown up spin-off TV show kind of thing. Need to come into their own. They're like maybe what, about 4 or 5 years still for them to come into their own. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. The other thing is, like, I'm really looking forward to the wedding. And I've been screaming out for a MCU Bollywood movie for a long, long time, and we're getting so close. Like, in the trailer for the show, there is like a scene where, she's dancing at a wedding, and I can't I'm too excited. I'm too excited, because, like, in Pakistani culture, again, like, weddings are weddings are huge. Again, like this is for the people who aren't a part of the culture. Like weddings are huge, and we um we go all out. Like not just like over 1 day wedding. Our weddings last like 2 weeks sometimes. I know in my personal family we do maybe about 5-6 events for one wedding. Um, like you only really need like one, maybe two, but yeah, we're crazy in that sense. But like to see that on a big screen, but from the perspective of a first or second generation family would be great. Like even the stuff like the Illuminantes was such a great touch, because it's true. Like these aunties, they know everything, and they come up with all sorts of rumors as well, over exaggerating the truth. So yeah, it'd be interesting. And in regards to the MCU Bollywood movie, like the closest we've got is that scene in the Eternals, and like yeah, it's okay, but I didn't feel it. It was no RRR. If you're not seeing that, it's on Netflix. Go check it out. But like, I want burst of passion and color and music. And so far, like we've not got it. And I know for a fact if the MCU were to pull it off, it'd be great. Whether it has to be in like a musical episode of a show. For example, I don't think we're gonna get WandaVision season 2, but there is a very strong likelihood that in Loki season 2, we might go into a universe where everything's a musical, and to have like it's a bit of a Bollywood one in there, even if it's like Kingo instead of Miss Marvel, it'll be all right. But I just want I want an MCU musical actually as well. But let's start with the Bollywood one first. Um, the other it's not really a gripe, it's just a nitpick to be honest, which is the mother character. I'd like her to I'd like her to be a bit more like J. Jonah Jameson from Spider-Man, like a lovable heel. Like yeah, when she comes on screen, you're like, oh, um she's gonna be troublesome but also lovable at it. That's what I'd want from her. But on the flip side, like there's obviously character development as well. Like I'm not too familiar with the comics, so we'll see how it goes with that. But um, I want more from her. I think that the actress herself is holding back, maybe because the writing has had her hold back. But it'd be interesting to see how this develops. We've got, I think, another 3 or 4 weeks left of this, so we'll see. Now, the other thing is, I really hope we can avoid villains like the ones at the end of in Iron Man 1. I'm not going to say their names, but it's those guys pretending to be the Ten Rings and live in a cave. Well, not live in a cave, but operate from the caves and stuff. You know, those guys. I really hope they're not involved as villains. Um, so yeah, like that'd be a bit too much. I know it's not the ATCU. That's the one from Agents of Shield, but the Damage Control, is it? I'm not sure. I can't remember what the agency is called, but they're the guys after superpowered individuals. They were in Spider-Man Far From Home as well. Not Far From Home, sorry. What's the new Spider-Man called? It escapes my mind. That this is what happens when you build up to the movie coming out, and then it comes out, and then that's it. But yeah, you know what? This is gonna bug me now. Let me just Google Spider-Man. No Way Home. No Way Home. That's the one. Yeah, there you go. So yeah, like those guys, are they the villains? I don't know. I don't know if Disney's gonna go down the route of turning around and saying, "Hey, this government organization is the bad guy." Um, just because like that's that's not something they can do in like the United States, if that makes sense. Like they can't turn around and say, "Hey, the FBI, those guys are bad." Like I know they did it with Shield, but they said, "Oh no, Hydra's been living within Shield for decades. Like, yeah, that's a separate matter. But like with this, I don't think these are the bad guys. I think they're like the referees. They're basically like the police, isn't it? They're the referees. They're gonna set the boundaries. I think um, we'll learn more about this. We'll learn more about this definitely. But I do think that there's time for a villain to enter the show. Um, and the other thing is like I think the inhuman thing needs to be addressed. Like, I understand, even like going back to Spider-Man, they didn't show like Peter Parker getting bitten by the spider because like everyone knows like that's his origin story. But with Miss Marvel, this is like the first time a lot of people are experiencing her. To remove part of her comic book identity, her original identity, is I think a disservice to the character. It's like saying, Captain America didn't have a super soldier serum. He just like woke up that way. Like, no, I think we definitely need to keep it in. Um, so we'll see. Like, I trust that Marvel and Disney know what they're doing because so far so good, right? But overall, like, I kind of can't wait to see how this pans out. Um, so yeah, overall, I'm loving it, and I can't wait for it to come back for another season, see it in a movie. I want this to genuinely continue for like ever. Um, and unfortunately, like something like Black Panther, where it just came out, and then even however many years later, we're still like waiting for the return of Black Panther, like the momentum to continue. I know like seeing the Dora Milaje in Falcon Winter Soldier was like a huge thing. It was a big hit, but we need more. Um, we need more. We need more like more diversity, more points of views to tell the same story. I know that in the first episode of Miss Marvel, there's a sort of a Easter egg that a Shield agent was present during the Battle for Earth at Endgame in Endgame. But he was like viewing from afar. Like, yeah, give us more stuff like that. Give us existing stories from other points of views. That'd be interesting to see. But yeah, overall, Miss Marvel's awesome. Love it. Can't wait to see more. Um, moving on to Kenobi. I think we've got like one, maybe two episodes left, and like yeah, so far so good. Like this week's episode where the basically the siege episode where Kenobi's on that planet and he's got to stall for time so he's gonna open the doors and get everyone out. So powerful, so moving. Like I'm happy we get like 6 episodes to spend with the characters rather than doing a movie. Like this was the right choice. Like we don't get enough by doing a movie. We don't get enough time to spend in that universe. For example, like right now we're telling stories in the Star Wars universe at different periods of time, going back and forth, and for us to go back before the original trilogy and do another story similar to Rogue One, and then like get used to this is where we're at in the story. Like it's a bit much. Ideally, I would have liked it to come out before Rogue One or after Rogue One, in and around then. But the fact that it's a series is that while watching each episode, people are reminded that this is set in time period X. And with that in mind, I think Rogue One itself would have been a great miniseries. So having more time to raise the stakes and increase the pressure and having us feel the sacrifices of each character. I wholeheartedly think that Riz Ahmed was underutilized in Rogue One. I think he could have done so much more instead of just like going out the way he did. Like hell, I think he was a pilot, wasn't he? They could have got him in a little ship and have him do all sorts all sorts of pilot stuff, um, having in it like a cool dogfight and saving the day. Like even Rogue One, like there were scenes in that trailer that aren't in the movie, and it frustrates me because one of those things I desperately wanted to watch, which was them running across the beach with the Death Star plans while the the AT-ATs were shooting down at them. Um, but like, yeah, I'm happy we're getting Star Wars back and we're getting Star Wars at a good quality. I'm so grateful for George Lucas to paint such a vivid and dynamic universe that I know like we've had what like 9 movies and more all focused in and around the Skywalker family, but the universe itself, Mandalorian is a great example of the universe itself being so rich and diverse that you can deep dive into anything, and come out with gems. Like I know we've got getting the Ashoka series soon, but I think there's a Taika Waititi series or movie coming out. Like, yeah, give me more Star Wars. Give me like pre-Jedi Star Wars. Give me post post Return of the Jedi, post Mandalorian Star Wars. Like give me a nice variety. And like I originally, when I did the show yesterday, I did spend like maybe 10-20 minutes just complaining about Rise of Skywalker. I don't think I'm going to do it now. Maybe I'll do it in a separate video, so I can get all my thoughts down cohesive. But like, yeah, let's skip that. Let's skip that. Okay. The other thing is, now they went out of their way to make Darth Vader violent. Like, how can I put it? I like how sparingly they've used Darth Vader. They've not made him a front and center so far. I know in this current episode he was quite prominent, but until now he's just been the man in the shadows in a sense. And I like how whenever he's on screen, he's doing something ruthless or brutal. Consider like when they land on that planet where they're getting smuggled out, and he just rips through people. He like goes and kills people, snaps their necks, breaks their limbs, and like just for the sake of it. Like that's just frightening. So like you see, it's like this isn't Anakin Skywalker anymore. And they're making sure you know it, that this is Darth Vader. Like, Anakin is gone. Anakin is dead. Like, this is a man who's lost everything. Like, Anakin is gone. Like, Anakin used to use his abilities for good. Like, even in this episode, we demonstrated that, look, he's a talented fighter. He's fighting on the right side, but he's not fully there. And now this is a man who's lost everything and he chose the wrong path to go down. Now this is the only life he can lead. And there is like genuinely no hope in him. And this is the result of that. It's just pure brutal power. So like, yeah. Like again, like credit to Lucas for renaming and naming episode 4 A New Hope, because it genuinely is just that. Like, it's hope in every sense of the word. Like, hope for the resistance to overcome the Empire, hope for Kenobi to finish out his final mission, like the hope for Anakin to return. Like, there's so much there, and it's like, it makes you want to go back and rewatch the prequel trilogy and the original trilogy. Not so much the sequel trilogy, unfortunately. Like I said, I probably won't deep dive into that now. But like, one thing I will say is the Game of Thrones and Rise of Skywalker both struggle from the same thing, which is the final season or the final couple episodes ruining the entire legacy of the show. Like, even if the last 2 episodes of Game of Thrones were 2 or 3 episodes were any good, it would have saved the season and it would have saved the show. That show ended just before we were all in lockdown, and you don't think people would have sat around binge watched that show because the first few seasons were excellent. But the fact that the final season was so bad that people just like gave up on it and just stopped thinking about it at all. And in the same respect, Rise of Skywalker was so bad that like there's one thing called playing it safe, and the other thing is just like just put it out there. We'll make our money and leave, and like it's done. Let's not bother finishing the race. Let's just get whatever on paper, whatever we've got on paper, and get it out there. Like, yeah, like it ruined the sequel trilogy because The Force Awakens was all right. It was quite good. The Last Jedi was great. In italics, like they were both obviously, look, they're not flawless movies, but like there was good in them. For them to turn around and mess up Rise of Skywalker as badly as they did, simply because a large voice on the internet turned around and didn't like it. Personally, I think that's down what it was down to. I think that's wrong. But nonetheless, like apparently you're not meant to like Star Wars, because if you like Star Wars, you're not a real Star Wars fan. So yeah. Regardless, like moving on. The kid that plays Leia is awesome. Like she's genuinely carrying the show. I know that this past episode, it was very Kenobi Vader focused, but that kid itself, like she's doing so well, and credit to her. Like I do hope we get to see more of her in the future. So yeah. The other thing is, like, originally we were meant to have Darth Maul as a villain, and I think that would have been cool, pretty cool. But obviously Hayden Christensen was available to come back. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if there was a Disney Plus series in the works where focus in and around Darth Maul and how he's on like a revenge mission against either like Kenobi or against the Sith themselves. But there's also another character who could be alive, who could be out for revenge, and that's Mace Windu. And it'd be awesome if there was both of those characters crossed path in that series, where one is out after Kenobi and the other one is out after Darth Sidious or even Anakin Skywalker. Like, I don't think Mace Windu knows, but he could probably sense that Anakin is Darth Vader, and doing a show in and around that. And it won't have to include Vader himself in it until maybe the Mace Windu gets to him and they have like a, you know, their own awesome lightsaber match. I don't know how much physical work Mace Windu would be able to do, but that's a separate matter, because I know he's really campaigning for it right now. But yeah, like that would have been pretty cool as a show. The other thing is, I definitely think Liam Neeson will make a cameo, even if it's like just a voiceover or a Force Ghost would be coming on screen. More likely a voiceover, but that'd be super awesome. And the other thing is, like, I think we need to spend some time on the Skywalker farm, just like slice of life moments, Luke bonding with his aunt and uncle, just to make sure their death feels a bit more painful in A New Hope. Like, the thing is, like, they just like placeholder parents in that movie. There's no like bonding, there's no love shared, there's just restriction, similar to the parents in the mother in Miss Marvel. Like, she needs to have a bonding moment with her daughter. Like, I know they went to like shopping and stuff and had fun together, but a lot of it felt like the mother complaining at the daughter for being like so carefree and that kind of stuff. But that's a separate matter. I do think like we want some time on the Skywalker farm. That'd be good. And I do think we're going to get some of it soon. I think the cliffhanger at the end of the episode was close to it, but like right now Disney are knocking them out of the park. They are really winning. All the Marvel stuff, Star Wars stuff, like they're really doing well. I can't wait to see more. Um, I'm kind of, how can I put it? I'm kind of annoyed that um they are doing both shows on the same day. I would have liked them for them to wait for one to be finished to start another one, but if they want us to binge, they want us to binge. I'm not complaining too much, but you know, it would be nice that everyone focuses on one show at a time. Um, but yeah, I think we've got 1 or 2 episodes of Kenobi left, so let's. I'm strapped in for the ride. I'm excited. I do think we're gonna get a Darth Vader Kenobi rematch. Um, but yeah. Um, so moving on to Stranger Things. Um, so like first of all, I really, really enjoy this season more so than like season 2 and 3. I really like how long the episodes are. Um, like you get to spend a lot more time with the characters you like I said, like I to normally like the older characters, you know, the Hopper and Joyce and Steve and Eddie and stuff. Like the older teens and the adult storyline tends to be my preference instead of the kids one. um but like yeah, um I think that I think Eddie as a character is super awesome, but I'm kind of worried for him. Um, so the first point is like what solidified Eddie for me was that scene in the forest where he's with that cheerleader and he's like showing her like, okay, if you want something to take the edge off, I can give you XYZ drugs and stuff. Like that could have become really creepy really fast, but credit to the writing that they turned around and like made Eddie a class act. And I think they filmed that scene after the cheerleader's death scene. So while they were in the editing process, they looked back at it and they actually kind of regretted killing off that cheerleader because their chemistry was so good together. And then like I'm not really into all the stuff with oh, actually going back to Eddie for a second is yeah, Stranger Things has a habit of introducing a character, making you really like them, and then killing them off. I think like Benny and Barb in season 1, and the guy from Lord of the Rings in season 2. Um, the other one was Billy as well. Like, you know, there's plenty of characters that they've made us like really cheer for, and then like that's it, they're goners. I think Eddie might be one of them. I think he was written as one of them, but I think they might change their mind towards the because they're still in production phase of the final 2 episodes, post production of the final 2 episodes. I think they might turn around and like rescue him, save him, because of, like the fans just love him so much. Now, all the stuff with Mike and Will and his brother, I'm not into that. It's not pointless in a sense because obviously it's vital to the story, but it's just like it just feels like filler content. The other thing is like all the stuff with Elle is fine. Like as long as we can avoid like the spin-off from season 2, we'll be all right. Like, um, I know the last 2 episodes are going to be powerful and crazy and everything, so I'm just hoping that all the plot points can like come together. All that stuff like Vecna as well. By the way, like you on the episode, you could somewhat figure out that the that guard guy is one, but then putting the dots together that that guard was actually Vecna, and the kid from that guy's house, that was that was I don't think we saw that coming. and credit to the show for having that be like a cliffhanger at the end of the mid-season break, at the end of volume 1. Then like I'm just kind of concerned about how they're gonna wrap the show up in season 5. Like, I don't think they're gonna kill the franchise. They just retire the characters, because the franchise generally made Netflix as popular as it is. And that's the thing, like, going forward with Stranger Things, I don't think they'll go further back in the past, but I don't think going into the 90s would be the right decision. I think if they did like a mid 2000s, early 2000s spin-off, that would be quite interesting, with the emo hair and the MySpace and like the Bush era even. Or yeah, I think the Obama era is still a little too recent. But if they went for like the Bush era America, that'd be quite interesting. Because they've got to find a way to make it appealing for Gen Z as well, as much as younger millennials. And here's like a wild thing as well, which is they can have the kids from Stranger Things cameo as elder versions of themselves, but instead of them like being old and trying to look younger, they're just young people trying to look older, so they can grow into those roles as the seasons progress, which would be pretty interesting. So yeah, that'd be quite fun. But overall, like, I'm super excited for Volume 2 to come out. The end of the month can't come soon enough for that. And yeah, no doubt I'll hopefully be able to do another like retrospective on the season overall. But yeah, like more of this. Even I tell you what, even the stuff with Hopper in the prison, like that was dragged out a little too much. Like from the first episode, we knew, oh, they're gonna make him fight a Demogorgon. Like, yeah, but I guess they needed to fill up the runtime. But regardless, I'm not complaining. Give me longer episodes. Give me 90-minute episodes. I'm happy with it. That's one of the things I liked about Sons of Anarchy as well. But yeah, moving on to The Boys. So this is the issue. I really, really dislike The Boys. I don't actually like a lot of Amazon Prime originals. I think the only one I genuinely liked was Reacher, and even that had some flaws. Like even in The Boys, I don't like any of the characters or the tone. Even the social commentary is a bit off. The best way I can explain this is it wants to be Family Guy, but it's just American Dad. Like yeah, like it's missing something, but to its credit, I like how it writes its villains. Or maybe I'm misunderstanding the show. Maybe you're meant to hate everyone, and that's why I don't like the show. Because I sure tune in to watch it. It's just like it's a bit off, but it's not Powers. There was a PlayStation TV exclusive show called Powers. It's got the guy from District 9 in it. I can't remember the guy's name off the top of my head, but give it a Google. It was a pretty good show. It was about this superhero who lost his powers to a serial killer, a supervillain who's a serial killer, and that serial killer basically eats or drains the powers of other superheroes. And this guy got into a bit of an altercation with him and ended up having his powers drained. Now that serial killer is back, and he's a detective now as well. So he's got to find find and trap that serial killer. It's quite good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. That does a better satire superhero show than The Boys, but I know like The Boys has its diehard loyalist fans, so like that's what you guys think. to be honest, I have no idea where the show could go. I'm just interested to see how it ends, like the final season. I don't know what they have in mind, but I know they'd go all out. They go crazy, and they'll definitely go as far to like pee off as many people as possible. So I'd be here for that. Now, I know like I only like just zoom past the boys, but like realistically, like it's not really got much going for it. Like yeah, I just don't like any of the characters. Um, so yeah, cool. So moving on to a show where I do like a lot of the characters, um, Fear the Walking Dead, and those of you who don't know, I really enjoyed this show. Season 3, 4, 5, 6, they were really good. They were way better than the actual main timeline of The Walking Dead. This season 7 was kind of junk, to be honest. Like, first of all, like, okay, expect spoilers, but like, yeah. For I don't know how many of you guys watch the show or whatever, but like, I appreciate the nuclear zombies. They've evolved the zombies to be a bit more of a threat without messing too much with the original zombie formula. And the thing, like, the issue I had with this season was the Morgan versus Strand thing and all the Alicia stuff. Like that was junk. Like sidelining Alicia and then getting her, as you know, removed from the show or whatever. Like, no, like they ruined Alicia's character. I think the character had potential to grow into like a real leadership role, to be able to like hold the show on her own. You know, similar to like how Daryl Hell holds like the flagship spot on The Walking Dead. I think Alicia could have been that for Fear the Walking Dead. Like, you know, similar to like how Daisy Johnson in Agents of Shield, like she was like the future of the show. I think Alicia was the same here, but like there's hope. There's hope. She might be in the Negan spin-off show, which I'd find super interesting. Um, whether will that happen? 50-50, 50-50 about it. I hope it does, to be honest. But I'll say this. It'd be interesting to have Dwight in the Daryl show. If he moves over from Fear the Walking Dead, is because Carol's exited the Carol Daryl show, but Daryl and Dwight doing like a bad cop, badder cop buddy road trip would be super interesting. Like they dislike each other but kind of trust each other. I'd watch that. Like, you know, excuse my language, but it'd be a entire show based on a dick measuring contest. I think they'll be like biking through Europe, and like the one will be trying to read French, and the other one like no, giving like a technical answer, and Daryl will be like saying, actually no, I know this because of some kind of like hillbilly hick white trash kind of way of knowing that, oh, you know, polo means chicken. You know what I mean? Like there's something like wild and dumb like that. Just watching those two characters like ruffle each other's feathers, but also at the same time like having each other's back through the whole thing. Like I'd definitely watch that. But circling back to the show, the whole Madison returning thing as well. Like it's fine. I would have liked her and Alicia to like share a scene together, or Madison looking for Alicia after hearing Alicia's radio messages from Strand's tower. Like give me like a final moment between them, because again I didn't like Alicia's final episode. It could have been done so much better, but yeah, like I think the awkwardness of the show should stabilize from here on out. As they write the new season, like I think they'll figure out where they want to go with it. Like for example, that boat at the end of the episode, like the big rumor is like, oh, that boat's related to Rick. And I think the timing, the year is off, but I think like there could be a connection here somewhere somehow. Um, I think we'll find out if we like Virgil is on that boat. That'd be interesting. Um, and with that in mind, we're actually quite close to the final part of the main Walking Dead show. Obviously, I'll like deep dive into that when it comes back. But like more Walking Dead is great. More Walking Dead stuff is good. We've got Tales of the Walking Dead coming out as well. Like there are so many stories still to be told in zombie fiction, and the Walking Dead studio, they are the right people to tell those stories. I like slow zombies compared to fast zombies. Um, that's just comes down to preference. I'm a George A. Romero fan, so yeah, like I love Night of the Living Dead and all that kind of stuff. But like for them to like redevelop the zombies in, I think it was in France, where they're super fast, super speedy. Like, yeah, fine, do that. Give me like a bit of a globe-trotting show. Give me World War Z style, where he's going country to country and place to place. Every season is a new country or something. Or give me multiple seasons set all around the world. Like I think the Fear the Walking Dead has demonstrated that they can make a good zombie show on a budget. So yeah, so I'm all here for it. I think the Walking Dead World Beyond was like a very like cost effective show. So yeah. Um, but yeah, I'm gonna like wrap it up. I'm like 30 minutes earlier than I did on that show where my mic wasn't working. But in that one, I went really deep into Inhuman lore and into where I was so damn annoyed at Star Wars, um, Rise of Skywalker. Um, but yeah, I'll let it go. I'll let the grudge go for now. Maybe next week I'll do some movies. I watched RRR. Let me get there you go. There you go. I watched RRR on Netflix. It's a Bollywood movie. It's excellent. It's great. It's awesome. It's amazing. And I also watched Everything Everywhere All at Once, as well as like Doctor Strange 4 times. Um, Maybe by then I would have seen Jurassic World and Top Gun. Um, but yeah, like other than that, let me know what you think of doing the show in this format. Like before, I used to just like sit on Instagram and make a quick post and get it done. But no, it's the same amount of time for me to sit on YouTube and just like talk from the hip about things that I enjoyed watching this week. Um, so yeah, like thank you so much for tuning in. And if you watched like the full 1 hour of it, like awesome, thank you. And I will look forward to seeing you soon next week, hopefully. Um, yeah, I think Wednesdays is sort of the right day until we start getting stuff coming out on Fridays, maybe. But yeah, other than that, I will see you at the next one. Bye.